You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. And be sure to smash that like button. All right, breaking news. And it is the breaking news that everybody has been waiting for. Garrett Nussmeier earlier on Wednesday teased everybody with a photo of a chair and a camera, hinting that an announcement was coming. That announcement has now come down via Garrett Nussmeier's Instagram, and Garrett Nussmeier announces that he is returning to LSU for 2025. He will play a fifth season in Baton Rouge at LSU. You can go catch that announcement there on his social media. And this is, without a doubt, the most significant news that we were all waiting on. The most significant news that Brian Kelly, LSU for 2025, absolutely had to have. This was priority number one, and there isn't even a close second. When Garrett Nussmeier walks off the field in the bowl game against Baylor, and I understand that's not a massively significant game, but when Garrett Nussmeier walks off the field against Baylor, he will have polished off the second greatest passing season in the history of LSU football, behind only Joe Burrow in 2019. And I don't need to hear anything about the number of pass attempts this year. All that does, in my mind, is underscore even more how significant his role was. Because if you didn't have Garrett Nussmeier this year, you ain't beating South Carolina. If you didn't have Garrett Nussmeier this year, you ain't beating Ole Miss. I shudder to think what you are without the guy. When largely this year you were unable to run the football, and you asked him to shoulder a mighty burden, and time again, he got up and said, give me the ball, let's go. I mean, the heroics against Ole Miss, being battered and tattered and getting up, holding his arm against Florida, missing a play and going right back in. We can run through all of it. The game against Oklahoma, when he lands on his shoulder, and we all think, dude's got a separated shoulder, a broken collarbone, he's done for the year, ain't going to be playing the bowl game, might leave, who knows. A series later, after going in the locker room, he's back out there in a game between a couple of teams pushing 500. Baller, gamer, stud, whatever you want to call it. Awesome. Everybody, and I told you this, there will be no Garrett Nussmeier slander here. Too many of y'all who spent too much, any part of this season crapping on Garrett Nussmeier was too much, and too many of you who did, who know you who you are, you should be slouching in your chair right now. And you should also be going to church to light a candle to pray to the baby Jesus, because Christmas Jesus is my favorite Jesus, that in Thanksgiving that Garrett Nussmeier is coming back. Because you got a taste of what it was like for a series when A.J. Swan went in. Absolutely had to be the number one priority because, first of all, of course, it provides you stability at the most important position in our organized team sports. Do I need to give you the reminder of what it was like going from Zach Mettenberger 2012 to Zach Mettenberger 2013, his fifth year, second as a starter at LSU, when he threw for 3,000 yards and paced an historic offense at the time? That was until 2018 Joe Burrow became 2019 Joe Burrow. 2018 Joe Burrow went the entire month of October without throwing a touchdown pass. 2019 Joe Burrow was quite literally the greatest single season a quarterback has ever had in the history of college football. 2022 Jaden Daniels was a player that too many of y'all complained about, holding on to the ball too long, wouldn't take shots downfield. And I can some ball-headed, angry, yelling radio host told y'all all that year, he's the only thing you had. Behind a sieve of an offensive line, his ability to evade a rush, make plays with his feet, protect the football is why you got to 10 wins that year. And oh, by the way, worked on his accuracy and then became an historically great quarterback in his fifth season as second as a starter. I ain't trying to put too much expectations on Garrett Nussmeier, but it is realistic to assume with more experience, more playing time, another year, that Garrett Nussmeier is going to get better in 2025 than he was in 2024. I'm not telling you he's going to be Burrow Daniels better, but better than a year where you threw for damn near 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns? Yeah, I'll take that. And if you get incrementally better on defense, year one to year two under Blake Baker, and you go supplement in the portal the way we're talking about, you should be a playoff team. But none of that is even a conversation without this news. The stability, the growth at quarterback, but also there's a money component of this as well. If you had to go into the transfer portal to get into a bidding war for a starting quarterback, you don't have a choice. So take it back and put it to you this way. And listen, I don't need to talk numbers specifically. I feel like I have a really good handle on them, which is why I told you at the beginning of the show today I was pretty confident Garrett Nussmeier was coming back. Because LSU made it abundantly clear there was no plan B. They were getting Garrett Nussmeier to return. So, when you think about the money LSU was willing to pay for Bryce Underwood, the money, and I told you the number, it was $1.5 million. That's where LSU's offer stopped in the bidding war for Bryce Underwood. That amount of money for a player who's never taken a snap. And what that would have done to your coffers. Now I'm going to tell you straight up. In 2024, Garrett Nussmeier was one of the 3 lowest paid quarterbacks from NIL collective deals in the SEC. He was in the bottom. Embarrassingly low. I'm going to tell you straight up, he will be one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the country in 2025. I don't know everybody's deal, but I'm telling you there ain't 10 quarterbacks in college football that are going to be making more than him next year. Maybe there will be some out there. I don't know. But he will be handsomely rewarded for his return because he has to be. And part of the reason you were able to do that is because you didn't sink all the money that the freshmen like Underwood and Jakeem Stewart, like they were holding you hostage. You were sensible, told you on signing day. They made fiscally responsible decisions, left them flush with cash to go spend on retention and in the portal. So the biggest retention piece is now on board. Nussmeier's back. The biggest retention piece is there. Now the question is, how do you supplement? Right? That is now the answer. So let's go back 7 days as we sit. 7 days ago, when a lot of y'all were melting, Bryce Underwood was gone, Cade Phillips flipped, Jakeem Stewart picks USC. A lot of y'all are melting. And I told you 7 days ago, great thing about the digital media era, everything's recorded. You can go listen to it if you want. Said, listen, we focus so much on who you don't get, focus on who you did. You inked a great 2025 class. You flipped the 5-star offensive lineman on signing day. You got the number 1 cornerback in the country, the number 1 running back in the country. You filled a lot of needs. Now, let's see what you do with retention and portal and talk to me in a month. A week later, LSU's projected to land Barry and Brown, one of the top receivers in the portal. That news hasn't dropped yet, but they're projected to land him. LSU's projected to land Jakeem Jackson, the cornerback from Florida, former consensus top 50 overall player in the country, the number 3 cornerback in the country from 2 years ago. You're projected to land him. Nussmeier's back. You've got bags of cash to spend, and you've got Will Helt, one of the top defensive ends in the portal, visiting. Luke Haas, one of the top tight ends in the portal, visiting. You've got one of the top safeties in the portal visiting this week as well. Now, you got to land all those guys, right? You got to get it across the finish line. I mean, you had Braden Fisk visiting 2 years ago. You didn't get him. Florida State tripled your offer. So you didn't get him. Okay. How competitive are you willing to be now? But you're starting to see the evidence of the commitment. One of my favorite sayings, I say it all the time, actions speak louder than words. You can tell me one thing. Show me. You can tell me you're committed to spending money in the portal. You can tell me, like Brian Kelly did, we're going to be aggressive in the portal. Okay. You can tell me that. Show me. I think you're seeing it. With the money they were willing to spend in the high school class, where they topped out, and now reallocating those funds to retention, Garrett Nussmeier, top of the list, and portal acquisitions. They ain't done. I'm not sitting here declaring LSU is going to be a playoff team in 2025. I'm not doing that today. But what I'm saying is the path forward that we laid out, you're seeing them take steps on that path. So, in about a month, the portal window will have been closed. All these elite guys will have taken visits. They'll announce where they're going. LSU will have played a bowl game. You'll be heading into the new year, and you'll have a much better sense of what LSU looks like in 2025. I know what the schedule is going to be. Thing I always say when projecting a season. Fewest questions against most manageable schedule. I know what the schedule is going to be. There's still a lot of questions. But the single biggest question, who's your quarterback going to be? You got the answer. You don't have to go into the portal now and get into a bidding war for this year's version of Dylan Gabriel or Cam Ward or Riley Leonard. You got your answer. A guy that spent his entire career in Baton Rouge. A guy that loves the school. A guy that's proven he'll play through injury, play through pain. Total gamer. Knows your coaching staff. Knows your culture. Knows the offense. Knows the OC. It's the single biggest question. And it's answered here on December the 11th. A lot of other people have ambiguity. Not sure. LSU's got that answer. And now there could be a Pied Piper effect for every offensive player. Hey, come play with Nussmeier. Oh, the guy that threw for 3,800 yards this year? Yeah, come play for him in this offense that features receivers and features tight ends. Hey, we got 4 offensive linemen leaving. You want to come block for them? Come on. You want to be an All-American like Will Campbell? Come on. You want to be a first-round draft pick? You have a lot more to sell. The number one priority for LSU, the number one, everything started with Nussmeier. This was an at-all-cost proposition to get him back. And they succeeded. What's next on that path? We'll find out. But this is the biggest step, and they got it done. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.